Well, Colin, with our Raiders. The irrelevant Raiders have a lot of promise this season, finally. They got old guy Pete Carroll at head coach. You got, veteran Geno Smith and, of course, Ashton Genty. So the offense will be better. They play in the toughest division of football, but Pete Carroll believes Vegas is ready to compete right away.
It warms my heart to see that we're having fun and we're working really hard, and guys are, you can tell that they can sense that there's something changing, and so a lot of expectations for us. We're gonna, we're going for it. We're not holding back. We're not looking for any give us some grace period or any of that kind of stuff. That's not how we're going about this. We want to go get it right now, and I think the players feel that sense of urgency, and they're showing it by the way they practice.
I think one of the single greatest strengths of the NFL, it is the League of Hope, is that you can watch what Denver did. Denver was a lifeless franchise, Peyton Bo Nix playoff team in the Mahomes division, in the Harbaugh division, in the Herbert division, in the Andy Reid division. And you look at what Washington did, a laughingstock for a decade. Only the Jets can't dig themselves out of a hole. The reality is this league is built on Houston being awful and a playoff team in a year. I said this last year about Minnesota. If Minnesota was picked for fourth, I said they'll be the best fourth-place team ever. The Raiders, if they finish fourth, and I think they will be as good a fourth-place team. I think it speaks well to the NFL. The teams now at the bottom of some of these divisions, the Raiders had Kansas City beat twice last year. And no team in the league has upgraded their coaching staff more than the Raiders. And you could argue their quarterback position. I'm not calling it. If it wasn't for the fact that Harbaugh, Andy Reid, and Sean Payton are in the division, I would have no problem saying in any other division, Raiders make the playoffs. I really think they're close.
I think some of that last year, Chiefs were big favorites in both those games, is you go in, you're playing the Raiders. They stink. They don't know their quarterback situation. And they kind of let their guard down, and the Raiders play them tough. But I did look at the schedule, Colin, for the Raiders. And you can have all the excitement you want. Right out of the gate, you cross-country trip to New England and Vrabel. He's going to have them game plan. Drake May stepping up. Then you face the Chargers. It is at home, but the Chargers, they're better. Then you got to go back across the country to face Washington and Jaden Daniels. Then you're back home for your boy Caleb and Ben Johnson. Then there's a bit of a respite, and that game at Kansas City before the bye week is big. If they can somehow get to the bye is 3-4 doable? If we give them the wins over the Colts and Titans?
Oh, first of all, at Drake May, we don't know what New England is.
We know
Chargers.
You have New England as a playoff team. What do you mean?
It's a rival. Yeah, that doesn't mean they're going to win their opener. I mean, it's a whole new staff. It's a whole new roster. There's no roster in the NFL that has more changes than the Patriots. They're not going to be great in September. The Chargers is a rivalry division game. Washington's a loss. But we don't know what the Bears, Indy, and Tennessee are. Oh. And Kansas City, I have as a wild card team. Then out of the bye, I get Jacksonville.
Wait. So
Dallas,
you go
Cleveland.
to the bye?
That is a play. That is not a daunting schedule at all.
Real? Okay. All right. Somebody's a Raiders fan around here. Oh my God, I was getting worried. Holy cows. So do you have anyone in the division missing the playoffs, Colin?
Yeah, the Raiders. But if you're trying to sell me, I look at that and I see at Washington and at Philly. Those are L's. Every other game on that schedule, I'm sorry, but at KC, at Denver, at the Chargers, those are winnable division games.
Somebody on the internet's going to clip this off and throw it at you when they're 2-9.
I'm going to clip it right now. And it's not going to be when they're 2-9. It's when they're going to be 0-0, baby. Let's talk about this. There's a sneaky amount to unpack here. They took this to a different level. The good news is this, Raiders fans. Colin thought that the Minnesota Vikings were gonna be a fourth place team last year, and they were a game away from having the number 1 seed in the NFC. So that's pretty good. It's a pretty good track record. So, I do think though it's fair that if the Chargers were still being the Chargers and the Broncos were still being the Broncos, it would be like, yep, playoffs without a doubt, without a doubt. And maybe even the kind of sneaky, like, Kansas City Chiefs, like, are they able to bounce back from last season? I don't know. You'd kind of have to think about it a little bit longer. But, you're like, yep, without a doubt. The hardest thing that they have going for them is that the Broncos are now a well-run franchise, and same thing with the Chargers. I do fully believe that. And so that is obviously what's going to be the hardest thing that they have going for them. But I just love everything that Pete Carroll is talking about when he's kind of saying about, we're not looking for anyone to give us a grace period. Like, he's been a coach for a really long time. He's not dumb. He knows putting some of this stuff out there. He knows how fans are going to take it. He knows how the players are going to take it. He knows how the media is going to take it. He understands that pressure, that hype, that energy, that expectation from all the people that I just mentioned. Not only include ownership and anyone else who's wearing suits and ties in that building. Like, yeah, everyone feels it. And Pete Carroll could easily be downplaying a little bit and be like, hey, you know what? We're really excited to get things going. I really believe this team can be great. Obviously, it's going to take a minute or two for us to kind of get in a rhythm, blah, blah. And it wouldn't even be the worst thing. You couldn't even be like, if he made comments like that, you couldn't even just be like, oh, well, he doesn't believe in his team, or like, how could he say that as a head coach? You're like, yeah, that makes sense too. Like, you could feel that as well. It would be understandable. And Pete Carroll, from my viewpoint, is not the type of coach that just tries to speak things into existence. You have some coaches that really feel like they just keep trying to speak things into existence. The most recent one is Dan Campbell, right? He's the one that just keeps saying, man, we don't give a rip about nothing and this or that. And it's like, all right, I get it. You're the energizer. Like, and sometimes that really resonates with me. And sometimes that's a message that I really need to hear. And other times, like, I need you to be like, yeah, man, this is not going to be our year. You know what? We just don't have enough what it takes. Like, I don't want to be gaslit in a way. And I just don't feel like Pete Carroll in this moment is gaslighting. I think this is actually built on like legitimate, genuine belief, and he's raising the bar and the expectations for what this team can do. And when you're a head coach, a lot of times you want to downplay some of these things. You don't want to elevate. Yeah, you want to pump up your guys, but like when he's talking to this, it's not like the guy, it's not like Geno Smith's listening to the radio show. I think it was a radio show. Those guys aren't sitting around listening on the radio. Like, they're not doing that. So this isn't like locker room talk. He's not speaking it into existence in the locker room, in the meetings and whatnot. Like, he's putting this out there for like the media, the fans, for all of this other pressure. And it's just like, I think it's based off belief. And then now when we get to this roster, this schedule, it's such a fascinating schedule because it definitely has a lot of these teams where you're just like, who the heck are they going to be this year, right? They really are. I look at the Patriots. Who are you going to be? Drake May, Vrabel. Have you connected the dots? Have you figured this out? And it's only week 1, so it's like even Jane Daniels and the Washington Commanders, who also had new coaches, new quarterback, new everything, and they were able to turn it around. Week 1, they didn't hit the ground running. So, okay. The Bears. Has Caleb and Ben Johnson figured this out? It's going to be week 4 now. Have you figured it out? The Colts. Daniel Jones. It seems like Daniel Jones, they paid him a lot of money. You don't pay a quarterback that amount of money to not start him. You don't pay him like 14, 15 million to be a backup quarterback. So it feels like Daniel Jones is going to be the quarterback. Does Shane Steichen work magic with Daniel Jones? I think it's definitely possible. But at this point, I really don't have any idea, but I'm certainly not betting on the Colts right now either. And then you have the Titans. Cam Ward, what do they got going there? Is he going to be able to turn this franchise around? Can they go from zero to heroes? It's like, again, I'm a pretty optimistic person in that regard. I'm not betting on it, but it's just like, I don't know. And the Kansas City Chiefs, I do think a lot of people are ready to bury them. I'm not ready to bury them. I think Raiders fans especially should understand, as long as you got Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, and Spags there, even if their team is a wreck, they will still find ways to be brutal to beat. Like, that is just who they are going to be, especially in the division. And I totally reject this notion that the Raiders beat the Chiefs because the Chiefs were just phoning it in. That's like the most right. They were just phoning it in and not taking it seriously against the Raiders. Like, that makes any sense whatsoever. Like, that's the Raiders beat them straight up. Okay. And they had the other game last year won as well. So, there you go. And then the Jags, new coach, Trevor Lawrence. Like, I still have not abandoned Trevor Lawrence. I'm intrigued at this idea of him getting a new head coach, a coach that should be, a lot more competent offensively than he's dealt with. Can he stay healthy? Who knows? Trevor Lawrence struggles to stay healthy by week 9. Is he even still playing? But it's just like, I'm open to them getting some momentum as well and having kind of a turnaround. Broncos divisional game. Cowboys, I really don't have much faith in the Cowboys at all. Quite frankly, Cleveland Browns, zero faith in them. And then you have the Giants, and it's just like, I think the Giants will be definitely better than they were last year, but hardly special. So, and then again, some of the other games that I kind of just skipped over, like the Eagles and whatnot, it's like, yeah, those will be tough games. Like, you obviously are going to have a combination of games that, like, you should pretty convincingly win, but then games that you're kind of like, yeah, this is going to be a brutal game. Doesn't mean that you can't win, but it's just like, if we had to guess right now, are you going to beat the Philadelphia Eagles week 15? The answer will probably be no. Is it possible that the Eagles are nowhere near as dominant as they were last year and are completely vulnerable, and they're coming off a 2-game losing streak or, whatever it is? Yeah, completely possible. So it's just that's why these kind of schedule breakdowns are always tough so far in advance, because we obviously have no idea. But I just, what did he say? Someone's going to cut this clip when they're 2-9. It's like, really? 2-9. So what are we saying? That they only beat the Colts and the Titans, I guess, or something, and then they just lose to just team after team after team after team after team? Like, someone's gonna cut this clip of him saying that when they're 2-9, when they're 9-2. Now, I don't know if they're gonna be 9-2, but I don't think they're gonna be 2-9. Feel free, if they are actually 2-9, to cut this clip of me talking and making fun of me. But I have high hopes for the Las Vegas Raiders, and I do not think they're irrelevant. They were irrelevant, unfortunately for them. Not at all. There's a lot of talk around them, a lot of excitement around them, and you can't say that this is the best division in the NFL, but then just like act like the Raiders aren't part of what then makes that the best division in the NFL. Those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the Las Vegas Raiders? How do you feel about how great or not great they can be going into this season? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment. It's whether you agree with me or disagree with me. Either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here, and absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're on our way to doing it. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.